What's up YouTube, and welcome back to another video. If you're new, my name is Jocelyn, and today we have a special guest, my very own husband, Floyd.
What's up, people?
So today we're going to be talking about our first foster care placement. So our first placement was a little bit different than your average first placement. As we were going through the process of getting our license, there was a situation that happened with the sibling set in our agency, and the agency thought that our home would be a good fit for them. So they kind of expedited the process of us getting our license so that those children can get moved into our home. So it was intense. It was kind of crazy because we were going through the process of getting our license, which is a whole thing in itself. And on top of that, we had the pressure of knowing that once we got our license, 3 kids were automatically just gonna be in our home. I feel like we kind of cheated a little bit because we were able to know who was coming to our home. So we were able to get really prepared. So that was a good thing in it. I mean, obviously the whole thing was good, but we also had the opportunity to do a meet and greet, which is not something that you get to do with all of your placements. Usually how that happens is there's a child that's already in a foster home and they're looking for a better home for them. So they, basically interview different families or let the child meet the different families and let the foster parents meet the child so that they can decide if the child would be a good fit. So we got to do that, and that was the whole thing in itself too. It was very, very overwhelming because, like we said, this was our first placement and we had 0 experience as far as foster children because we've worked with kids, we do daycare out of our home, so we're used to having random children in and out of our lives. But this was different because it was obviously something that was a little more, what's the word? I don't know.
Like personal.
Yeah, it's just different. It's different because, you signed up to be the parents for these kids. So there's a lot of pressure, okay? There's a lot of pressure, but good pressure because obviously it was something that we signed up for. It was something that we wanted. So it was exciting. So we went to the meet and greet, and basically we were just in the room with these lovely children and their social worker, and honestly, I fell in love with them as soon as we walked in the room. They were just so cute and so happy and just excited to meet us, and it was just such a good feeling. Like, you know how you just get that gut feeling when you know something is for you or not for you? So I had that as soon as I walked in, but I'm like that with majority of children. He's more of like a realist. He doesn't make decisions based on his emotions, so he's able to really see the little things that could possibly be like a red flag or something. So that's why I'm glad that my partner is my partner. So yeah, we did the meet and greet, and that was cool. It was literally like 15 minutes, and we just talked to the kids and asked them questions. But yeah, it was just like a connection right away that we had with these kids. What did we do after the meet and greet? Because I honestly do not remember.
Well, we just went to the house and we had already told them that we were just going to talk about it, talk it over, and let them know what we were going to do. And so we had that conversation. We both really liked the kids when we met them. But just kind of going back to that situation, that makes it a little awkward at the meet and greets because you never really know what to expect, first of all, and you don't know what the kids are going to be like. But from the kids' eyes and social workers' eyes, they're ready to move in with you right away. But for you, if you see red flags or you see something you don't like, it makes it kind of awkward to bring that up and talk about it. So their expectations are a little different from yours. So it was important that we went home and talked about it. And I recommend that to anybody out there who's thinking about it, just to really talk it over with your family first before you
Make
just
a decision.
say, okay,
Yeah.
we're in. But yeah, we just went home and talked about it, and we agreed that we were ready to take it on. And I don't know, was it like a few days later?
Yeah, I think it was probably about a week later because we still weren't fully licensed yet.
All right.
So yeah, about a week later they were placed, but in the meantime, we were still going through our home study. We still were needed to get inspected. So during that time, we were pretty much just preparing ourselves for them to come. So, you know, we're getting beds, we're getting blankets and clothes, and we're just, you know, trying to prepare the best way we could. And we even made like these little baskets that we gave to them that had like their own towel and their own toothbrush and just like a few little things for them to have. We always want to have something to give to the kids when they come, because it's just kind of like our way of greeting them, and
Just makes them feel more welcome too.
Yeah,
Makes
yeah.
them feel more comfortable faster.
yeah. And so we did that, and basically a week went by. By then we finished our home study and we got our home inspected. So before we knew it, it was time for them to be placed. And so another good thing about the situation that we were in was that usually when you get a placement call, they call you, you say yes or no, and then they show up at your house with the kids. So you're literally surprised by who comes. You don't know what to expect. But this situation was a little bit different because we already had the meet and greet. So when they came, we knew who each child was by their name, so we could say, hey, so and so, it's good to see you, welcome home. And so it was pretty neat that we had that experience, and I'm grateful that we did.
We didn't have time to worry
Yeah,
about anything.
we didn't have,
The day just came, and you know, it was
3
all
kids,
in at
and it
once.
was just like, bam, like
Yeah.
but it was great. They fit in really well with our family, and they were good kids, you know. They had been through a lot, and their previous placement just wasn't a good placement for them. So they were happy to be with us where they felt more wanted and just like they fit in with us. I think the hardest part about it was just adjusting from having 2 kids to having 5 kids.
Yeah.
If you don't know, we have 2 biological children of our own. So yeah, we went from having 2 kids to having 5 kids, but not even 5, because we also do daycare. So it's like 10 kids basically. So that was a whole thing, but it wasn't too bad. We're already the type of people who kind of have our kids on a schedule. So we just had to adjust the schedule a little bit so that everybody had enough time to do the things that they needed done, like shower time and dinner time and stuff like that. And another good thing was that the kids were a little bit older, so they were pretty much independent. The 2 older ones were able to do basically everything that they needed. So we didn't have to like change diapers or give them baths or anything like that. So that was a good thing. But we don't want to give off the impression that, you know, everything was perfect and dandy and rainbows and unicorns, because that was not the situation. There was a lot of adjusting, a lot of chaos, a lot of just things that we had to learn from and adjust to. As far as the foster children coming, this is kind of how it is usually with most of the kids. You don't really see behaviors, or we didn't see very many like behavior problems at first. I don't know if it's because over time they got more comfortable with us, or maybe they were just ready to go home and be done with being in foster care. But behaviors definitely came out, and we definitely had our days that were just tough, where we would literally have to call the social worker to come out and talk to the kids. And we obviously, it being our first placement, a lot of times we didn't know what to do or how to help. I think that was probably like the hardest part, because one of the kids, he was the oldest, so he saw a lot, you know, in his home, and he remembered a lot, and he had a lot of anger, and he was very confused about just a lot of the things that they experienced, and he didn't know what to do with it. So it came out in anger a lot with him, and there were times where he would literally just destroy his room because he was upset. He would take all his clothes down and like throw everything in a pile in the middle of the floor, and then he would hide under the bed and like wouldn't talk to us, wouldn't come out for hours. And that was just like, at a loss. We didn't know what to do, honestly. In those times, we would have to call the social worker just so, because the kids, like we said, they were placed in a foster home before they were with us. So they already had a social worker that they had a relationship with. So we would call her and she would come out, and she was a really good social worker, one of the best social workers that we've worked with. And she would stop what she was doing and come and talk to him and kind of smooth things over. That was helpful because we didn't know what to do. For him to randomly have those outbursts, it was just so out of character for him, so it was just hard. It was hard to see him going through that, and it was hard to know how to deal with it. We were still in the learning stages, so it was tough, but we got through it. There wasn't very many of those times. It was probably like 2 or 3 in the time that they were with us that we had to actually call a social worker out, but it wasn't too bad. They were really good kids. They dealt with the situation they were in very well. Yeah. And they were very strong and just, had a positive attitude about it. But as time went by, they were ready to go home, and it was very obvious. They were ready to go home, which is understandable. They loved us, they called us mom and dad from like the first 2 days they were with us. They were calling us mom and dad, and we all had a good relationship. But obviously we can't replace their actual families. The kids got placed with us in April, I believe. So it was a little tough because we had other children that were in school. So they all went to different schools. So it was a little bit of an adjustment to make, but luckily it was in April, so it was only for about a month and a half, and then it was summer. So that was great.
We were going to 3 different schools?
Yeah, because like we said, we do daycare, so it was...
Yeah, you go to one school, and then you'd have like not even 10 minutes to get to the next one, and then 5 minutes to get to the next one. So we're like running around all over the place. And then sometimes I'm at work, and so she'll have to do all of it by herself. So that would be kind of overwhelming. But
we survived.
Like she said, it was only a month and a half, so that was good.
Yeah, we did it by the skin of our teeth. So finally, it was summertime. As everybody knows, summer is the best time of year. There's no school. There's still a schedule, but not as much of a schedule because you could go to bed a little bit later and you don't have to be up at a certain time. So summer was fun. It was great that summer came and we were able to have them during the summer. I just said summer like 100 times. But anyways, so summer, and summer. The fact that summer came was great because we were able to take them on little trips and stuff. We had like a whole weekend trip where we took them to the beach, which was really cool because they had never been to the beach before. And we live in California and they're from California, so it was a little bit of a shock that they've never been to the beach before. So it was really cool that we got to share that experience with them.
Yeah, to me that's the best part, when you get to like show them something for the first time, or you see them enjoy it for the first time. It's like, you can't really explain the look on their face or how excited they are about it. It makes you excited too. It makes you want to keep doing more.
Yeah, it's one of the rewarding parts of being a foster parent. It's just seeing the innocence, seeing the excitement, and just the pure joy that these kids get from the smallest things.
Yeah, because you think about their situation, this one specifically, how they had to be like pretty much adults in their own life. They have to be so responsible for the things that happen in their house or for each other. And when we were able to take them to the beach and the aquarium, we get to see them be kids. Enjoy just being a kid, not having any worries. It was cool.
And they had a blast. Like when it was time to go, they were already asking us, when are we going? Can we go back? Like they wanted to go back the next weekend. Yeah. That was probably one of the highlights of them being placed with us, was that beach trip. Yeah, it was pretty cool. So now that we've talked about the greatest parts of our experience, let's get down to the nitty gritty. So anyways, one of the toughest parts about our first placement and any placement is the visit situation. I mean, visits are the happiest part of their experience. Being in foster care, obviously, they're getting to visit their family, so they're hyped and they're excited and they're looking forward to these visits. And we learned very quickly that visits are not cupcakes.
They're not our favorite part.
Yeah.
And she said it's good for them, they enjoy it and they get to see their family, but it's like an emotional wreck at the end of it. By the time they come back, it's like all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, and the hardest part about it is, I mean, for us, it's not that they're upset. It's just literally there's nothing we can do to make them feel better. There's nothing we can say. We don't want to bribe them by buying them a Happy Meal or getting ice cream, or, you know, because obviously that's not a healthy way of dealing with what you're going through. So that was one of the hardest things to adjust to for us, was the visits. Luckily, their mom was pretty responsible, and so she went to majority of the visits, but there were times where the visit would get canceled or she wouldn't make it on time, so they had to cancel it, and it was really devastating.
And they're crushed. They can't understand, you know, car trouble or you know, a mishap with the social workers or miscommunication. They can't understand that. They just think, okay, we're gonna see our mom today, and then you have to tell them it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to handle it. They're just crushed.
Yeah, and it's hard because, you know, we're the ones who have to give them the bad news. That was honestly the hardest thing to adjust to, was just them going to visits and then just actually having to face the biological parent too. Like, I don't think he was there for the first visit. I think he had to work, so I believe I'm the one who took them. And so I got to meet their mom, and it was just very awkward. Like, she was a nice person, and obviously she appreciated us for taking in her kids and stuff, but it was still just kind of like weird. But I wanted to make sure that she knew that I respected her as the mom, and I wasn't in any shape or form trying to replace her or anything. So I made sure that I introduced myself to her and let her know that I'm here if she ever wanted to talk or ever needed anything. Like, I made sure that she knew that we were on the same team. So I think that really set a good, you know, first impression and a good tone for the entire placement, because she kind of got to get a sense that, okay, this lady's okay, you know, she's clearly, you know, in this for the kids, and I think that's one of the most important things about the visits when you do actually come in contact with the biological parent. So the bittersweet part about being a foster parent is the day that, you know, the kids go home. Obviously, it's a happy day for them because they're being reunited with their family. Most of the time, the kids are ready to go home. So it was a happy day for our kids, but not so much for us. So the way it happened for us was totally unexpected. Like, we knew that their mom had court, but we were not expecting for the social worker to call us and basically tell us to pack their stuff up because she was coming to get them later. And so it was a dramatic situation. I was tore up after that phone call, but I didn't want to show that to the kids because I didn't want to take away from it being an exciting thing for them. So it was hard. It was very, very hard to not only have to tell them, hey, you guys are going home, and to hide how I felt, because obviously I was happy for them. You know, I wanted them to be home, but I wasn't prepared emotionally for it to happen. It was devastating for us, and it was hard because not only did we get the call that they were leaving, but it was also like, okay, pack their stuff up. So we didn't have time to slowly pack and just kind of get used to the idea that they were going to be gone. It was just
Yeah,
like,
you hang up the phone and then you have to start packing all their stuff, packing their clothes, packing their toys, you know, stuff that you bought them, stuff that, you know, memories that you share with them. You just pack it all up in a box and, you know, they're coming to get them. So, and then with the kids too, with our bio kids, they're so close to them and you have to tell them that they're leaving like pretty much right now. And then you have to watch all of their emotions. You have to try to explain to them that this is a happy day for them, so we have to be happy for them. So it's just a whole mix of emotions that you have to try to gather all at once. And so it's really tough, but you know, all in all, we know the end goal is for reunification, and that's what it's about. So we were happy for them.
yeah. And luckily, you know, we're still in contact with that family. We talk to them on a regular basis. They come and visit us sometimes. And their mom, she was a single mom, you know, so we're always telling her that we're here for her, and you know, she'll call me and just tell me what's going on with the kids, and I try to talk to them and just remind them of, you know, where they came from, and you know, try to help them.
And that's kind of a high point of that specific situation of our first placement, because we've had plenty of placements since then, and it doesn't always go like that. You know, we don't get to stay in contact with them or even hear about how they're doing anymore. We just, once they leave the house, we never hear from them again. And
that's how it is.
That part is really hard to deal with too, because you get attached to some of the kids and then you just never hear from them again. And we just, you know, you're always wondering how they're doing.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much our first placement experience. Definitely an experience we'll never forget, no matter how long we're doing this.
Just recommend that, you know, with each placement that comes, like for us, in our very first placement, we used everything that we learned from that, and we just kind of took it to every placement after. So I just recommend that you do the same. Everything that you go through with each placement, just take something from it and apply it to the next group of kids, or you know, kid that you get, and you know, just keep it pushing, keep moving.
Yeah. Alrighty guys, so that's our story. That's our first placement, and we're so grateful for you for taking the time out to share this experience with us. And as always, feel free to leave a comment below if you have any questions or just anything you'd like to know more about. We're 100% open to helping in any way that we can. And if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe and don't forget to like this video. We'll see you in the next one.